It's our turn, episode number 91. Games, games, games! In this episode, Sarah Reed and I talk about the games we've been playing, and then Roger and Lizzie tell us about their recent game conventions, including Essenspiel and MidCon, and what games they've gotten to the table lately.
This is the Dice Tower Network, adding games to your wish list since 2005.
Hosting for this episode is generously provided by our fantastic supporters on Patreon.com. If you'd like to help us out by pledging $1 per month or more, please visit patreon.com/OurTurnPodcast. Every dollar helps us to keep this show going strong. Hi, and welcome back to Our Turn. I'm Cathy Ford.
And I'm Sarah Reed.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Let's go ahead and start off like we usually do, talking about what we've gotten to the table lately. So what have you gotten to the table?
Well, we got gifted a couple of small games, and one of them was Camel Up Cards. It was one I've always been curious about. In general, we stayed away from Camel Up, the board game, because we knew that would be too visual for Will.
I was just going to ask if you'd ever played Camel Up. I haven't yet.
No.
And I'm eager to.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever get the opportunity to play it, I would love to. It's just with our different circle of friends, we tend to be the game buyers, and so we're not going to buy a game that doesn't work with Will's vision. So I thought maybe the card version would work, and unfortunately not. Oh, well.
No?
Nope. We gave it a try, but he could not keep track of where the camels were on the spaces and the stacking of the camels. So very first off, this game is not colorblind friendly.
Oh.
I forgot already how many camels there are, but they're distinct colors, and the cards just show the camels with the colors. They don't have any other indicator.
No symbology.
No, there's no symbology, which would make it manageable because if the cards had the color coding, the cards have to stay secret. But somebody around the board could help determine the colors of the camels because that's all public information. Someone who has colorblind issues could just say, hey, can you please tell me this stack of camels, what are the colors, that someone could help. But your cards are kept secret. And so if you can't tell orange from red, or I don't know if there's orange and red, but still, Will had trouble determining.
You can't tell green from red.
Yes, the green from red, whatever the colorblind issues are. So I will say that first, it's not colorblind friendly. I will say it's a fun game. I don't get a chance to play racing games or bidding games much because of generally how they work. They're not good for Will's vision. I'm terrible at them, but this was a fun game. I'm assuming it's very similar to Camel Up. You're betting on camels. But the crazy thing is, the way they move, they stack on top of each other. And then if one lower down gets a movement card, it gets picked up and everything on top of it gets moved with it. But it's the one, oh God, now I can't remember. I think it's the one on top. Or was it the one on bottom that wins? Oh, I've already forgotten. I've only played it once.
I think it's the one on top. Usually when things are stacked on top like that, it's whichever one is on top goes next.
Okay. So to set up, you set up the racetrack, it's cards that have 2 spaces each, and it's so long depending on the number of players. You randomly pull some cards to set up where the camels start. So the weird part to me, the camels don't all start at the start line. Some of them start already into the race. And then, yeah, that's kind of weird to me.
Sounds kind of like a staggered start, like in a track meet.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's trying to simulate. It's just for the game we had, one camel was like 4 spaces in, and then the next 2 camels were 2 spaces behind it, and then 1 behind it, and then a couple at the start line. In fact, like for us, yellow never moved the whole first leg of the race. It stayed at the start line. But let me get to how that works. So once you do this staggered setup, everybody gets cards randomly. You're only going to pick so many of your cards to add to the communal pile that gets shuffled. And then that's going to determine how the camels move and when. So you have some limited information as to the possibility of camels moving forward. So like, let's say you're betting on blue. If you put a lot of blue cards in, it's more likely that blue is going to move forward. The problem is you don't know when. So blue could actually have been on the bottom. It moves forward, but then whoever's on top still wins. Once everyone picks these cards, it's shuffled together. And then on your turn, I think you get to keep one card. So you have a choice of flipping over a card to see what camel moves forward, either 1 or 2 spaces. Or there's these like a palm tree and another animal that you can place on the board that do different things. One of them, the palm tree bounces camels forward. The animal scares them back. Or you can play your secret card because that gives you a little bit of control. But like I said, if blue's moving, like the card gets over, it flips over, it's blue. Blue moves, if orange and yellow are on top, then yellow's actually still in the lead. So optionally on your turn, you can pick betting cards. And so there's 3 legs of the race. And then, so you can bet on each leg who you think's going to win and who you think's going to lose. No, sorry. Winning and losing is just for the end of the game. You can do minor bids for money on each leg, and you just betting on who you think is going to land where. So there's cards that say you think it's going to be first place or second place, and so you get good points there, but you'll lose points if that camel ends up in the bottom part of it. So you have to be careful taking these, because once you take these smaller betting cards, you can't put them back.
Ah, okay.
It's a kind of a balance of deciding when you feel strong enough, but also you don't want to wait too long. Someone else might take a risk, take a betting card, because the better betting cards are on the top of the stack. So if you wait too long, someone's going to take the good bet, and now you're just stuck with a lesser bet if you're, for sure. So there is definitely that risk taking here, which all betting is kind of about.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so, you just go through this. You have cards that track the money. You rotate it, you flip it over, if you get to 10, you take a 10 card and you flip your card. I found that a little fiddly, but they wanted this to be a card game. And so the only wooden bits are the camels, and then the rest of it's cards. So it works. So you go through, and as soon as one camel crosses the finish line, that's it. You've got betting cards on who wins the game and who loses the game, and whoever has the most money, or most money at the end of the game wins. If you like racing games, if you already like Camel Up, but you want a more portable version, I'm guessing this is I would say give it a try. I can't compare the two since I haven't played it. I did find it fun, but unfortunately for me and Will, I can only give it a 3.5 because it's not colorblind friendly. It's not vision friendly. I suck at it. I mean, the only reason I won is because, I could see it better than Will could see it, which is a sucky way to win a board game. So I don't think it's a bad game. It's just not a good game for Will and me. So that's why I gave it a 3.5, because it's more of it just didn't work for us, but I think it could work for other people.
Yeah, I had heard of Camel Up and the controversy about the name. Is it Camel Up or Camel Cup?
Yeah.
And apparently they've come out with a second version or a second edition. From what I understand, they've streamlined it a little bit.
Okay.
And they've clarified the name.
Oh, that's good.
It's Camel Up. And they've also added some new components, which are crazy camels. They race in reverse.
Whoa. Okay, that's weird and cool at the same time.
Yeah. So now I'm a little more intrigued. I'm like, oh, I need to check that out.
Okay, well, then I say check it out.
I hadn't heard much about the Camel Up card game, so I'm glad you're reviewing it, because I hadn't heard all that much about it.
I think it's fun. It was definitely fast. Like I said, you only play 3 rounds. Well, 3 or 4, because it really depends on how fast the camels move forward. So you could go like 3 rounds, but if there's more than 3 cards or something till the end of it, you might end up going another round. I think we ended up playing 4 rounds, but it's 3 or 4 rounds. So it's pretty fast. Assuming no one takes a long time to figure out whether they're going to take a betting card or not.
Or what color are the camels on your cards?
Yeah, that too. So, okay. Yeah. So it's published by Z-Man Games. It came out in 2016. Designer Stefan Bogen. Artist is Dennis Lohassan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Future Cathy here. When we recorded my review here, Sarah informed me that this game, Fast Forward Fear, was designed as a filler legacy game. Of course, she told me this after I spoiled the end of the game. So this is your only spoiler warning. If you don't want to hear about the end of this game, move forward past this review. Sorry about that. Okay, now back to past Cathy's review. First game I'm going to talk about, you have talked about on the show before. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I think I remember you doing that. And that is Fast Forward Fear.
I don't think did I talk about it? I know I've played it.
I think you have.
Maybe I did.
This was designed by Friedemann Friese, who designed Power Grid and 504.
Right. And Copycat and quite a few other games.
Yes, he has done quite a few other games. Mark's favorite game, my husband Mark's favorite game of all time is Power Grid. Mm-hmm. And so whenever Friedemann Friese comes out with a new game, we're like, oh, let's check it out. Oh, we need to stop doing that.
Maybe just watch some videos first.
I'm thinking maybe. Because we love Power Grid, both of us. I mean, it's not my favorite game of all time. We all know what my favorite game of all time is. But I do enjoy Power Grid. It's easily in my top 10 at the very least. Mm-hmm. But when 504 came out, we tried that, and it was just like, no.
No, that's just an experiment.
Yeah. And so we're like, okay, that was just an experiment. It was an expensive experiment. Mm-hmm. But all right, let's go and see what else he's done, because we've heard good things about these fast forward games. We have 3 of them. We have Fear, Fortress, and Flee.
Right.
And I'd heard you talk about Fear, mm-hmm. and if I recall correctly, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, for the most part. I'll give my opinion later, but for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Yes. And I have to say, it's an interesting concept. Mm-hmm. You don't learn the rules beforehand. You learn the rules as you play, because they're part of the game. They're part of the cards. You put this pre-ordered stack of cards in the middle of the table. You each take turns drawing cards. Mm-hmm. You can play cards if you want to, but you don't have to until you have 3 cards in your hand. And then you're playing these cards, and they just have numbers on them. Anywhere from, I think the lowest is -3 up through, I want to say 10.
Yeah.
I think 10 was the highest card.
Yeah.
And you're trying not to go over 15 initially. If you have to play a card that would put the total on the table over 15, then you just lost the hand. Mm-hmm. Now, that concept right there is one that I had an issue with, because the rules didn't say you lost the hand. The rules say you lost the game. And there's a big difference between losing a hand and losing a game.
Well, that's actually because a hand is a game. So the whole thing with these fast...
Kind of, sort of, not really.
Well, it's meant to be played in short hand bursts, I guess is what you'd call it. Because the whole thing about the game is that you're supposed to play it over the course of 20 games. That's how all the fast forwards, that's how Fabled Fruit for the Fable series is this big deck you're meant to play over the course of several games. And so when you play a hand, when it ends, that is technically a game. At least that's how I've been counting it.
I found some of that in the rules. Mm-hmm. I found that kind of confusing in the rules when they came up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you're drawing cards, and then you get, I don't know, 3 or 4 cards in, and suddenly you get this rash of rules cards. It's like 2 or 3 almost in a row. And so you read the cards to everybody, you put them on the table off to the side so that everybody has access to the rules. And then you play again for a while, and you're drawing a card and playing a card. I'm sorry, you're drawing a card or playing a card. Mm-hmm. Your hand limit is 3, so if you're at your hand limit, you have to play a card into the tableau. If you push it over 15, the hand ends. The loser's cards are removed in their hand, including the one they just played on the table, are removed from the game. They're put into the game box, and everybody else's cards, along with any discards, get shuffled together and placed on the top of the deck. Mm-hmm. And then you start again. Now, when we first sat down to play this, Mark and I, 2-player, we were looking at the box going, oh, this will only take 15 minutes.
No,
not even close. Mm-mm. For us to go through the deck once probably took about an hour and a half.
And that's what I was trying to say earlier. Uh-huh. This is a game that takes 20 or so games to actually get through the whole deck. Well, maybe it's because I'm more familiar with the concept from Fabled Fruit, which is really the one I think you guys need to play. Because it states in that, because that one has a bit more to it, it states that it's going to take several games to journey through, because that's what it's about. It's about journeying through the cards. So
it seems like it's kind of a legacy card game.
Yes. So it was his attempt to do a non-destructive legacy game, because those cards you take out in Fear or in Fabled Fruit, they remain out of play until you reset the deck to play with other people or whatever. But the whole concept now is that 10 and 2 that you took out for Fear will not be any more in that series of games to complete the campaign, for lack of a better word. Campaign is not quite right, but that's kind of the concept.
Actually, I think it is closer to correct than what you're giving it credit for. So Mark and I played this through, and like I said, it took us about an hour and a half to get completely through the deck. And at one point, when you get through the deck, you're still not done.
No.
Because the very last card is some more rules. And you're encountering special rules along the way, and the special rules replace each other. Mm-hmm. So if you have one special rule on the table, you come across another one, then the previous special rule gets pulled out and the new one takes effect. Which, that's fine. I had no problem with that. That was an interesting concept. But then you get to the bottom of the deck and it says, take all those cards that you've shuffled out, or that you've taken out of the game, and take all the cards that are in the discard pile and shuffle them all together and turn it over and start again. And at that point, you're going, really? Really? All right. And now you have a new goal. You're trying to end up with a hand of cards. And remember, your hand limit is still 3. You're trying to end up with a hand of cards equaling 25.
Wow.
So each of these cards has a number on it. And to get to 25, you need some pretty high scoring cards.
Yep.
And like I said, the biggest card number is 10. The game is interesting. It's an interesting concept. Mark and I played through it and we're like, okay, that was interesting. I'd like to see how it plays at a higher player count. Maybe it'll go faster at a higher player count. So then when Dwayne and Frank, hi guys, when they came over, I said, I got to try this game at a higher player count. So Mark and Frank and Dwayne and I sat down, we were playing, and they had never heard of the game. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, all right, let's give it a try. By the time, if I recall correctly, Dwayne won with 25 in his hand. Yeah, actually had 28 in his hand. We were all going, this was interesting. I don't ever want to play it again.
Yeah, because you basically powered through it. Like I said, it's not meant to be played in one sitting.
But the thing is, I can't imagine
lunchtime
playing 2 or 3 hands and then coming back to it later.
Well, see, and that's where I don't like a 2-player because it doesn't have enough dynamics. I took it to work. We've played 3 hands so far. So what I did is I have 2 Ziplocs, one for the active deck and one for the discard, so that the next time, and it's just staying at work because it's not good for me and Will at home. So it's set for my game group at work. So the next time they feel like playing it, we'll just play a few more hands and then a few more hands. So I've never actually gotten to the end. I've never gotten to the end.
I'm sorry if I just ruined it for you.
I don't mind. I don't know about our listeners. That is kind of, thinking about it, is kind of spoilery. Because I did not know what the end goal was other than this. Because that's the thing that I get from his Fable games is the journey. And so, yeah, it's like the time
It is a journey.
Yeah. It's like the time Will and I sat down and played Seventh Continent for 10 hours straight. You're not supposed to do that. So I think
that is a little overkill, yes.
So I think you just did the smaller version of what we did, is that you played it for an hour and a half straight. And yeah, that would get rather tiring and boring. And yes, I'd be very done with it at that point too. I will have to say, I don't think Fear is the best of them, but it is the most accessible of them. It's the lightest, easiest to explain.
It is pretty easy to explain. And going through the rules as you're playing the game, you get just enough rules to be able to play the game for a little while. But it does kind of leave you wondering, what's the point?
Yes.
And I think that's where the four of us were at the end of the game, was we got to the end and we're like, that's the point?
Yeah. It's a math puzzle.
It is. And as a math puzzle, it is amusing.
Mm-hmm.
For a rating on this, I'm going to give this a 3. I think it's a little buggy in that it doesn't explain real well that it says you can stop now.
Right.
It doesn't explain that you should.
Yeah.
I come back to this. It doesn't explain that this is a legacy style game.
I see. And I already knew because of playing Fabled Fruit going into them, but you've not. So this is brand new. Yeah, I agree with you. It really should have explained much better than that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even just having a card at the beginning that says this game is designed to play 3 hands at a time, put it away, come back later.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
In my game group, especially my Tuesday game group that gets together here at my house, we are power gamers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we play medium to heavy games every week. We play some of the lighter games in order to kill time until Mark gets home.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get off work till 3 and we get together starting about 1:30. So we play some lighter games, and then when Mark gets home, we play a medium to heavy game, and then we're done for the day.
Right.
If he's listening, Freedom and Freeze, I would recommend a little better explanation in your opening rules.
Yeah.
But I like the artwork.
Yeah.
I thought that was amusing. And you were worried about putting down what you were going to be able to put down for your next card. So that it added a slight layer of tension that is not going to be too much for people who are Care Bears like you, Sarah.
Yeah, it's true.
It did have the ability to occasionally reverse the turn order. So you put down a card. I was sitting right next to Mark when we were playing, and I can't tell you how many times I put down a card, it's like a 2. And, that made it like 13. And I'd say, now it's your turn, honey.
Yeah.
Because it was going back on him.
Yep.
He just thought he'd thrown it at me, and now I was throwing it back at him. That was fun. I do think this can be a fun game. I do think you need to be cautioned that, like Sarah said, it's designed to be played 3 or 4 hands at a time and then put it away.
Yeah. And so when you go to play Fortress and Flee. Same thing applies. You are not meant to power through it. You play, it's meant to be a light, casual filler style game, but a filler style game that has a continuing journey. Because I can't say it always has a story, but a continuing journey from play sitting to play, so you sat down, you played 3 games, then a week later, you play a couple more hands. So it's meant to have some continuity through the whole journey, but yeah, not meant to sit down for a whole hour and a half to 2 hours to play it all the way through the deck at one sitting. No.
Right. And it does need some clarification because on the box it says it takes 15 minutes to play.
And that's the point. One hand can take about 15 minutes to play.
Right.
And that's what it's talking about for 15 minutes. It's one game, which is when somebody loses, that's a game. And that should be about 15 minutes.
Now, the other thing I found interesting about it was, it said, okay, figure out who the winner of the game is.
Right.
Meaning basically the hand. But that didn't have any kind of bearing on it going forward.
No. It's still one of those games that you have winners and losers at each game.
So at the end of each hand, that's when you record your score.
Yep.
And then the next one is a new game.
Yep.
All right. Well, that puts a different light on it.
So Yeah, so like I said, I've played it 3 times with my coworkers. One coworker won 2 games, and another won another game. Let me just say, I'm terrible at this game, so but I still have fun with it. Well, I have fun because my coworkers have fun. And yeah, so I recorded that, and I think I might at the end take a look to see who's won the most games. And I don't know if you should say that whoever wins the final game is the ultimate winner, but maybe.
Yeah, because we powered through it.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
Okay.
Dwayne was the winner of Fear.
So you played Epic Fear.
We played Epic Fear, yes. This is a legacy filler game, people.
Yes.
Treat it like a legacy game. All right. What else have you played, Sarah?
All right. Well, let's move on to, I'm just going to say it, a game that has so much potential, but just kind of falls flat.
Oh, no.
And that is Hollywood.
I hate it when that happens with a game.
Yeah. It's one of the games we got in a trade earlier this year because it's about making movies. Who doesn't want to make a movie? That just sounds like a lot of fun. And it almost is. And I will say, Will and I thought of ways that would make the game infinitely better that just require changing rules. It's just Will and I want to design our own games, not redesign someone else's game. So I think this could be fun for somebody else who has the time and patience to do some major house rules to revise things. And then it will definitely be a very fun game. So what you're doing is each player is the boss of a successful, movie studio, and you are trying to make the blockbuster for the year. So you get 3 years and you are trying to earn the Movie of the Year award for, each year. You're trying to make the most money. And so the game is drafting and auction. The drafting part works perfectly fine. You get a hand of basic stars, directors, scripts, crew members. One of the things is to make a movie, you have to have a script, a director, and at least one actor or actress. Now, there is a stack of bad scripts, so you can always get a script. But you have to make sure you draft directors and actors. And here's where I really also feel that if they could do component changes, you really need a stack of bad directors and 2-bit actors so that you can still make movies, because there was times where we didn't have directors. But anyways, normal drafting, you've got a hand of cards, you keep a card, you pass it on, you get a new hand, you take a card. So the drafting part works just fine. The part that doesn't work so well is the auction. In the middle of the table is a row that has slots where you put the fancy actors and directors, like they do better things, have special stuff. And so there's a slot for cards equal to the number of players, and then the deck. And so what you have are tokens that say which slot you're bidding on, and then cards that have specific amounts. Like 1, 3, 5, 10, I think. I can't remember the denominations. First of all, auctions in games that make everybody lose money are stupid and not realistic. And
definitely,
this has that. I'm sorry.
Oh, fun.
If I go to an auction, the only person who's losing their money is the person who actually won the auction.
Right.
But I've seen this in other board games. So people do.
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
People do this, and I think it's because they fall so far on the mechanism side, because it can make mechanical sense to have people risk money. But when you have it in an auction setting, it doesn't make logical sense. So anyways, so you have to bid on a spot and a card, and of course you do it secretly and everyone turns it over. Here's the really stupid part. If 2 people bid on the same card, whoever has the highest amount obviously gets the card. Both people lose the money. That person who didn't get a card has to go on to a second round. What's really stupid is if they bid the same amount, they both lose their money, nobody gets the card, both players have to move on to another auction round.
With less money.
With less
available.
money. Yes. On top of that, you can bid on the deck. So I would think, I could bid on the deck. If I really don't want any of the cards, I can get something cheap. Nope. Same rules apply.
Oh, no.
You don't even know what the card is. If 2 people bid on it, only one person's going to get it if they bid higher. But if both people or more bid the exact same amount, nobody gets it. I'm like, what the F?
That's exhausting.
It's exhausting. So what should be a really short, fast game about making movies gets drawn out by this stupid auction thing.
Sounds like it bogs it down.
It does. Because, I mean, there's just so many things I could think of. Like, if you have the deck, however many people bid on it, you draw that many cards, and whoever bid the highest would pick first, then next person second. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can modify this to just make it streamline so that, yes, maybe everyone is spending their money, and they're not getting necessarily the card that they want, but they're getting something, and you're doing one auction round. That's it. Move on. Let's get to the fun part of the game. So that is really where this game falls apart. So that's the second phase of the round. Third phase, then you have 9 cards. You can make, you need to make at least one movie if you can, but there's nothing to catch you up if you are unable to make a movie. So that's another problem. Or if you have almost everything to make 2 movies, but missing a director on one of them. Anyways, so you're trying to make movies. You get income for the movies. You got little trophies. Whoever has the most trophies in a movie gets the, I keep wanting to say Game of the Year.
The Oscar.
The Oscar. And then the other part that really drags this game down is the math end scoring, which is really unbalanced, because at the end of the game, you count up all the trophies of all your cards and multiply it by the number of trophies you have, which if you are a person who got all 3 trophies, 3 times 17 puts you way ahead of everybody else.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. So
I hate that when there's a mechanism that makes it impossible to catch up to the leader.
Right. And here's the thing is that end of game, everybody's probably really close, but now you just got this end game scoring that nobody can catch up to because it's already set. So the math is off, so that needs to be fixed. And then that auction phase is just, it's atrocious. I'm sorry.
Blech.
Otherwise, it's like 75% of this game is fun. It's just dragged down by the other 25% that's just like this wall, this barrier to funness. So unfortunately, this was a Kickstarter game, and it was early on in the whole, I think it's from 2013. So probably funded in 2012, which is really early in Kickstarter's career. So it needed more development. It needed more play testing and streamlining because it has some really neat potential. Because it should just be a really quick, I'm drafting stars. Ooh, I can put these 2 guys together because they both love horror. I mean, there was genres. I didn't even get a chance to talk about it. There's genres, and if you get all these people, like the director, the script, the actors are all on the same page of what genre they love to do the most, you get extra money, and that's really cool. So there's a little bit of set collection there. So there's fun potential there. It's just blocked. So I give it a 2.5 because it's not horrible, and I have played horrible Kickstarter games. I think someone could have fun with this, and if anyone's listening and actually wants the game, just contact me. Just pay for shipping, and I'll give you the game. And if you want to try to fix the game, I think it's there. It's just Will and I have games to design, so we don't really want to redesign it.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
So that was Hollywood?
Yep.
All right. The last game that I'm going to talk about is Dice Hospital, which stars our very own Sarah Reed.
Oh, yeah. I'm a pharmacist?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. So if you have Dice Hospital, look through your medical personnel, and you will find a picture of Sarah there as a pharmacy. I think you're a pharmacy technician.
Oh, okay. Cool. So official.
So in Dice Hospital, you are all running your own little hospital, and apparently there's been some sort of disaster in the city or something.
Yeah.
Because you have 5 ambulances responding to it.
Oh.
And in the ambulance portion of it, you are triaging the dice. So you roll the dice. Let's see, there were 4 of us. No, you're doing 15 dice at a time. Mm-hmm. And you roll the dice, and any 1s and 6s get re-rolled. 1s are basically...
They're dead.
Patients on death's door. Mm-hmm. And 6s are healthy people.
Right.
So you re-roll those until you get somewhere between 2 and 5. Mm-hmm. And then you segment them into 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. Or 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. And then you start loading the ambulances. And the 2s, and if there's 2 2s and a 3, you put those in the first ambulance. And then any 3s and 4s go in the next ambulance. There's 3 dice per ambulance. So, number one, I can't imagine putting 3 patients in an ambulance. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, so they kind of abstracted it.
Been in an ambulance a time or two, I know they're not going to fit in there. Anyway, but that's beside the point. You load all these up, and the least injured patients go in ambulance number 5. Mm-hmm. And then you get to pick which ambulance do you want. You cannot pick ambulance number 1. Oh, I should also say these are translucent dice in 4 colors. Red, yellow,
isn't it
green, and blue? No, blue or purple?
I thought, it's been a while since I've seen it.
I think it's purple. Red, yellow, green, and purple, I think. And anyway, you can't pick ambulance number 1 if you're the first person to pick. Okay, you can pick 2 through 5, but you can't pick 1. After that, anybody can pick any number. Okay, so you go around the table, you pick your ambulance based on your hospital's capacity, your scoring strategy, that kind of thing. The object of the game is to take your patients in your hospital and move them from whatever number they came in at to a 6 twice. You have to get them to 6, and then you have to get them out the door, which means bumping them again. And you only score patients when you push them out the door.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
You discharge them.
Yes.
And those are the ones that you get to score. And the more patients that you're discharging at once, the higher you score. So, for example, 2 dice are going to score 3 points. 5 dice are going to score something like 6 or 8 points. And it just goes up from there. It's a similar scoring mechanism to the end of game in Unfair. Mm. The more you push out at a time, the more points they're worth. And then anybody that is left that has been treated, that's fine. You've treated them. They're still in your hospital, but they're okay. Anybody that you neglected because you didn't have enough personnel to treat them, they get worse. So a 3 turns into a 2 turns into a 1 goes to the morgue. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's in your morgue at the end of the turn, you get these little tokens for that's basically a skull and crossbones, and you have a dead body, and it's worth negative points at the end of the game.
Yep.
There is a way to mitigate that. If you have a pathologist, he can turn dead bodies into blood bags, which blood bags then make people better. So think of it as organ transplants.
Yeah.
These people in your morgue are donating their organs to make other people more healthy. That's how we were looking at it. I thought this was a fun game. I had a blast with this game. And in fact, the next day I tweeted out to Alley Cat Games, the publisher, and said, when is this available in retail? Because I really want it. And I put up that whole, here, take my money, GIF. And they came back with, oh, you enjoyed it. And apparently it is now available on their website for pre-order. And apparently that is good through like the end of December.
Yeah.
So, yes, I will be ordering a copy.
Nice. We played a prototype, so I do not remember the turning dead bodies into blood bags. That's, I guess, an improvement, because I think the versions we played just, you were just negative points at the end of the game. You couldn't get rid of them.
Right. Well, at one point, I had 5 bodies in my morgue.
Okay.
Yeah. And you get one of these negative tokens for every dead body in your morgue.
Nice.
And so, unfortunately, Mark stole the first pathologist that came out from me. And he only had 2 in his morgue, and I had like 5. I was like, oh, you rat. And then another one didn't come out until like the second to the last turn.
Oh, no.
So I was able to get rid of a couple of them, but I still had a lot of innocent victims in my morgue.
Yeah. Timing on that. I mean, the random cards, so...
Yeah. And unfortunately, your card never came out.
Oh.
But I dearly do want to get this game because it was a lot of fun. I have 2 aunts that are nurses.
Okay, cool.
And this is a game that I think I could teach to them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about this game is that it's got a really big production footprint, so it looks intimidating, but it's actually a really lightweight game. And that was kind of 2 reasons why we didn't back it. One is actually we just didn't have the money at the time it was on Kickstarter. But the other thing is, for the most part, it's a bit lighter than what we were looking for at the time. So I don't know. I think it might be something I'd pick up eventually now, because we are looking for more lightweight games. So yeah, but I'm glad it's,
and I do think this is a game that would play well 2-player.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there were 4 of us playing the game, and all 5 ambulances were out. I don't remember if you put out fewer ambulances for fewer people.
You do. It's based on the number of players. Just like in Role Player and other ones that have, because the ambulance is your turn order. So you're not going to have too many choices when you have turn order choices like that.
Okay. So probably for 2 players, it's probably 3.
It's probably 3. If I remember correctly.
3 ambulances. And so that would be 9 dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne had backed this on Kickstarter, and he also got the premium pack. So that gave you, I guess in the base game, the ambulances are represented by cards, and you put 3 dice on the card, and that's it, which is fine.
Oh yeah, it works.
That's fine. These ambulances were 3D rubber.
Yep.
And they look like ambulances. The dice, there was a place for 2 dice and then a place for 1 die on the top of the ambulance. They had little stickers on them that were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were cute little molds for ambulances. And I'm like, yes, I do want that.
Yeah. They're expensive. Well,
it just kind of adds to the game.
Oh, it does.
I took a look at their website, and I want to say it was £59, so British pounds, which comes out to about $75 or $77 US.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is something I'm going to get with my Christmas money.
There you go. There you go.
I had a lot of fun. I really want to play this again. We're going over to Dwayne's house for Thanksgiving. I am certain it will hit the table.
Nice.
That, and we've been playing a lot of Western Legends lately.
Oh, cool.
So that's another one that keeps coming to the table.
Awesome.
Anyway, I give Dice Hospital a 4.5. It was designed by Stan Kordinsky. Is that right? And Mike Nudd.
I think so.
And then the artist was Sebastian Kozner and Sabrina Miramon. And so I'm assuming one of those drew your pharmacy technician.
Yeah, I don't actually know who did the character art. I think one of them did the character art and the other did more of the everything else, the backgrounds and things like that.
I should say that when you're trying to heal these patients, you're also adding rooms and personnel to your hospital. So you start with 3 nurses and you get 1 specialist. And you assign your nurses and your specialists to treat these. And you want to be careful that you balance the number of rooms and the number of personnel that you have. Because if you have too many personnel and not enough rooms, then you've got people going to waste, because you can only assign 1 person to each room and its special ability and their special ability. And likewise, you don't want to have too many rooms because you won't have enough people to treat people. So I really enjoy this game. It's sandboxy. You really can't do anything outside of your ambulance choice.
Right.
And when it's your turn to assign dice to the ambulance, that's about all you can do to influence other people's outcomes, which is fine. Yeah. I enjoy sandbox games. That's fine. I give this one a 4.5, and I can't wait to add it to my own collection.
Nice.
So, and that's what we've been playing. This episode is sponsored by BoardGameTables.com. Hi, this is Cathy. As I mentioned on previous episodes, Mark and I have purchased a table from our sponsor, BoardGameTables.com. We are very excited to take delivery on this handcrafted piece of furniture. Neither of us has ever designed a custom piece of furniture before now. We were able to pick the shape, the type of wood, the color of the stain, the color of the felt, and the features like cup holders and a table topper. I'm sure that BoardGameTables.com has the perfect options and features to craft just the right table for you, your family, and your game group. You can browse their site and pick the options you want at BoardGameTables.com. Please let them know you heard about it on Our Turn, Gaming for Everyone.
Hi, I'm Roger.
Hello, I'm Lizzie.
And we've been to conventions.
We have.
So, how about yours?
So, my convention was, I think, the polar opposite of your one. I went to MidCon, which is a convention in Derby. It's all about playing games. They have a very small library and one game cellar, and everything else is just rooms and rooms of tables to play. People bring their own games.
Don't mess around with formal tournaments or anything like that, yeah.
No. I think there's diplomacy that seems to run in a room, but I avoid all of that.
Just follow the screaming.
Indeed, and there's a quiz, which is very good, very hard, and quite silly.
Yeah, so some of the shows I love are the really tiny ones. There's Stabcon in Stockport, which is half and half role-playing and board gaming. It's about 100, 150 people maybe. And yeah, it's just a lovely atmosphere. I went to it over the summer, even when it was that hot.
Wow.
Because it's just really good.
Yes, we arrived. We were the first of our friends to arrive. Got off the train, walked across the road, sat down at a table, and made a couple of new friends. And, yes, that was really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love the atmosphere of a thing like this. And the one I've been to, which is Essenspiel, I think still the largest board gaming convention in the world. They were up to 190,000 people this year.
Wow, that's a lot bigger.
Yeah, but you look across a hall and you don't see 190,000 people. You see sort of the people nearby. And everybody there, they may not like the game that you like, but they're basically there because they like games.
Yeah.
And that's just a lovely feeling. Yeah, I was drove over and demoed for Indie Boards and Cards again. So they're a good bunch. Yeah, it was slightly a lot of people saying there didn't seem to be a big game of the show that everybody was talking about this year. Last year everybody was saying Great Western Trail or Azul or something like that. This time it wasn't really that sort of buzz, but there were a lot of slightly not quite everybody talking about them, but the people who like them talking about them. Teotihuacan, Realm of Sand. I can't pronounce it, but it looks like Arraial. It's based on a Portuguese street party thing, apparently. So,
right? Yep. My Portuguese is atrocious.
It looks a lot like Tetris, but people seem to be enjoying that. And of course, all the booths that were saying, "Yeah, we're going to have a Kickstarter soon."
Yes.
And for some of them, it's even worth knowing about.
My friend got back from MidCon, and the very next day, her Kickstarter copy of Dice Hospital arrived. She's like, "Oh."
Yeah, I picked up mine when I was there. I did actually get to play it on Saturday night. There's not much game playing at Essen officially. In fact, there's nothing officially, but a lot of people get together in hotels and things. There's a games club in the next town over that basically meets in a church hall, and they throw that open to anybody who feels like it. So
Brilliant.
Come over and actually play stuff rather than just buying things. So that was Saturday night. That was good fun. So, what have we been playing recently?
So, over the weekend, I got to play a few new games. So, I think the most surprising of them was Harbour, which my friend brought. I don't know if you know, it's by TMG.
I've seen it. I think it was on tabletop a while back.
So it comes in this wee little box. And
It's got that weird... Is that the one with the weird looping marketplace system?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you think what on earth could be in this little box, and it turns out it's quite an interesting trading market game where you use buildings to acquire goods, and then at some point you go, I've got enough goods, I'm going to sell them. Then you mess the market up for every other player who curses you. So they're like, no, but I wanted to... and then you buy a building, and the first person to buy 4 buildings ends the game, and generally I think wins. There's a hidden point there's some hidden points from a specific resource for each player, but
so you're not trying just to end up with all the money.
Yeah. You don't have any money. All money you...
Oh, right. So you go to the market and then you buy stuff immediately?
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, there's only a few wooden tiles to represent the market and how many goods everyone has, and everything else is just cards and cardboard. It's really sort of surprisingly deep and quite good fun.
Yeah, it looked very light on the casual play, but you can't tell with people who haven't played before necessarily how that's going to look. Yeah, there was another hidden depth game that I picked up, Realm of Sand, which a lot of people were talking about this before Essen, which got it onto my take a look at this list. It looks a lot like Splendor,
right?
Casually, you've got four cards in a row, 3 rows. You're building stuff up on your local player board to buy those cards, and then when you do, they get you bonuses. But the way you do it, you've got these pieces. You've got a player board which is sort of 6 by 6-ish, but with an inconvenient shape, and you're putting a series of squares, either 3 in a row or an L shape, of 3 specific colours onto your board. So on your turn, you take the next piece, and one of the 3 pieces in front of you, put it on your board, turn that into individual squares, because you'll add and remove them individually later. The piece goes back in the pool, and then you draw another one.
Interesting.
So you're trying to match that up with the patterns on the cards, which might be 4 reds in a row, or two reds with the black between them, or whatever. And then they get more complicated for the high value cards. And when you get them, you can get individual pieces that you can place and hang on to. And bonuses. That each point you get along a particular track, you can go one square outside your standard placing zone, which is very handy.
Yes. That sounds very fun.
Yeah, it looks quite simple to start with, and then you start playing it, and there's actually a lot of thinking here, because it's what piece am I going to play? Also, what piece am I going to get next if I do play? Or is this the time to use my little individual pieces instead? And so on. Then do I buy this, because that will then destroy what's on the board, and I won't be able to buy that other thing that I want more? There's a lot more thinking than it first looks like.
Yeah. Another game that I played over the weekend that's got a lot of thinking. It doesn't look small, and it's not small, but it's got a lot of thinking. Was Oracle of Delphi. So it's a Stefan Feld game. Unlike his normal games, it doesn't have the point salad. There's no points. You've got 12 tasks set for you by some irritating Greek deity, and a tiny ship, and you have to plod your way round, making offerings at shrines, killing monsters, putting statues up, and as you do the tasks, you get a little benefit from them.
So I got the impression there's a bit of pick up and deliver, a bit of monster fighting.
Yep.
But it's basically a race to get the things done.
Yes, yeah. And there's randomness from the dice. The dice are really pretty. They've everything's based around 6 different colours. And the dice have the 6 different colours on, but to help with sort of identifying them, they're all in nice symbolised styles.
Right.
So it's a pretty set of dice you get. And at the end of your turn, you roll your dice, which tells you what you're going to be able to do next turn, but it also lets other people go up on these God favour tracks. And that gives you special abilities that can get you out of tricky situations, help you teleport from the other side of the board when you realise that the only blue resource is on the other side and you've got to deliver it. And
doing it at the end of the turn presumably means you've got time to think about it, what you're going to do next.
It very specifically says, so you can think about what you're going to do. Which works fine until someone rolls a monster dice and then you die, and so you spend your next turn undying.
And obviously it's going to be the player just before you who reverses everything that you had in mind.
Yeah. My husband, so the last player rolls this Titan dice, which generally injures everybody. And my husband was the last player, and he kept rolling 6s, which are the worst number because they always injure everybody twice. So we were like, oh, we've got a really good turn planned. Mikey! And he won. That's, yes.
Well, presumably he was taking the hits as well as everybody else.
He was, but somehow I still think... No, it was obviously all skill. But yeah, it's a really good game. It's almost overwhelming, the amount of things you can do and that there are to do. But I quite like that about it, that each time you play, you're like, maybe I'll try doing... No, that didn't work.
Yeah, I haven't been a big fan of Stefan Feld, but I think in this, at least you've got the idea that there are specific things you have to do rather than just accruing points here and there. So yeah, I'll give that a try if I see it, certainly. One I picked up, which I had planned to get at Essen, but they weren't there, was Renegade, which had a Kickstarter, I believe, last year. It's basically a hacking simulator. So you have these terribly complicated computers that are taking over the world, and you have to break in and do something about them. I've heard it described as similar to Mage Knight, which I haven't played.
All right.
But it's the same sort of idea as basically the system is throwing all sorts of stuff at you, and you have to do something about it. And it's largely up to you how you go about doing that, and you have some specific goals drawn off a deck, and if you survive all of them, then you've won. You don't have to actually break in and smash the computer or anything like that. You just have to survive long enough for your whatever it is to do its work in the background.
Excellent.
Which seems as if it should be a really abstract, fairly flavourless sort of game. But the way they've designed it, the way they've put the text on the cards, the way the symbols are chosen, it just feels as if, this actually is a hacking simulation, even though obviously in terms of real world anything it's not. But it feels as if you're getting into that sort of cyberpunk way of doing things. It's completely cooperative. You can play pure solo, which is what I'm mostly doing. It's one of those like Flashpoint. You can have multiple characters, but you can play with a single character if you want to, and it's still balanced for that. Oh,
that's good. Have you played it with different group sizes, or is it mostly just been you?
I've actually not tried it on anything except solo yet. It comes with, I think, 10 or so, 8 or 10 characters with unique abilities. So that gives you a different playstyle for each of them. And I think something like 4 computers with different characteristics to go up against. They have their special rules. Then the individual goals, of which you'd normally have 3 in a game, have their own special rules as well. So there's a lot of variation.
Excellent.
I've played a couple of times so far, and it's really good fun. It's not my sort of game at all, or at least so I would have thought. And then people in the Board Game Geek One Player Guild started raving about it. And thought, give it a try. Yeah, that actually works really rather well.
Aren't those always the best games?
Yeah.
I got to play a completely new game to me that was, or is, owned by one of the friends we made on Friday. And it's called Whistle Stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of track laying and a bit of a pick up and deliver train game, but it's interesting in that the tiles always connect up to each other, so you don't have to do weird rotating things. There are tracks and...
Yeah, well, when people say train game, they often mean a very specific set of things. Like, the 18XX and so on, which I know people who are great fans of them, but it's not really my thing. But I like the theme, particularly if it's not tied to those same mechanics.
Yes, there's no sort of taking loans and things. But the tiles you play have either stops for resources where you move your little train meeple, pick up a resource, or they have towns where if you pay certain resources, you get a share. Mm-hmm. And if you choose not to, then you get a little malus. Lose, it's only a few points.
Yeah.
And then some of them have things like trading posts, whistle factories. And you're aiming to get your trains from the east coast of America to the west coast of America, while collecting some points. I didn't do terribly well on collecting points, but most of my trains made it to the other side of the country. I
got the impression that one of the big decisions you have to make is, do you sell the stuff you've got somewhere in the Midwest for a few points, or do you hang on to it till the end and potentially get more, but maybe not?
Yes, I don't think I'd appreciated how much the selling stocks in the middle of the country was a decision. I sort of felt like I had to do it each time, and actually you only get points for shares, which is what you get from selling your goods in the middle of the country. You only get points if you've got the most shares and if you're tied the lowest value share. So actually, once someone's bought the first share, unless you can buy 2, there's no point buying any. So I think I wasted a lot of my resources coming second in lots of shares, and consequently last in the game. But it was a good game, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, certainly want to give that a try if I see it. Let's see. Oh yeah, the game of Essen for me was a very surprising one. And disclaimer: this is a game I was demonstrating. So basically, I found out about it about a week beforehand when they sent me the rules for this is what you guys should be learning to teach. Senators, which is by Haig and Ricky Tata. Ricky designed Coup, among other things.
Yes.
It was published last year in a fairly basic edition by Le Mans Games, and Indie Boards and Cards have just brought it out in a new version. And it's basically political corruption in late Republican Rome. So you're collecting resources, grain and wood and so on, in a auction system that's a bit like Isle of Skye. If you call the auction, everybody else bids, and then you can either take the highest bid as money and give them the card, or pay them that money and keep the card for yourself. For each thing that's come up, and the same with political offices, which let you, advance your cause by various corruption and bribery and so on. And then at some point you cash in and try to sell these sets. And it's surprisingly people start getting vicious after about the second round when they realise, hang on a minute, I can do extortion in this game, and it works the same sort of way. I say, you've got that 9 wood card there. I will offer you 5 money for it, and then you either give me the card and I pay you, or you pay me and keep the card. So it takes a few turns for people to get the hang of this. This is how this reverse double auction thing works. Then they say, now if I set that price to there, I'm pretty sure you can't afford that. So I'll end up paying you, and I'll keep the card that I want, and so on. There's a lot of psychology and bluff in it, and it tends out being a lot of fun.
Yes, that's always the interesting thing with auction games. It's like, what can I make you not want to pay?
Yeah, I've played Modern Art, and I did very badly in it, but I can see the appeal there. This one, it's not quite as lean and stripped down as Modern Art. You also get event cards, which is things like, there is a war, whoever contributes, everybody contributes blindly, whoever ends up contributing most gets a senator, which is the score. Final score is the number of senators on your side. Because when the fourth war card comes up, the Senate elects a dictator, and you want that to be you.
Right.
And it's other things like there has been a state deficit, so everybody blind bids. If the total comes to, as it might be, 15 money, then whoever contributed most gets a senator on their side. And if the total is less, then whoever put in least loses one. And you have this constant thing of it's entirely possible to bid more than you have by accident, or because you didn't think somebody would actually take the money or whatever. And you can always simply steal money from the state. Each senator you lose gives you 5 money. So,
Excellent. No, that's
but it costs 10 to buy them, so it's not a very efficient way of doing things. So yeah, I was really not expecting a great deal of this. I've been lucky, or the psychology is strange or something. Every time I've demoed something a lot at Essen, I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's completely unexpected. I don't suppose it'll ever be a huge success, but it's definitely worth a look.
Sounds interesting.
That's mostly what I've been playing recently.
Yep, that pretty much sums it up for me as well.
Right. Shall we say where people can find us online?
Yeah. I'm on Board Game Geek as Huggable Hamster.
I'm mostly on Board Game Geek as Fardrake. I do various things in other places, but it's all linked from there, so it's probably the easiest place to start. I tend to hang around in the Artern podcast forums, among others.
Yep.
That's it for... I don't know, how are we going to do this? Whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
See you next...
Seasonally.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you. Bye.
The Dice Tower Network is a proud supporter of the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. The board gaming community is kind and generous, and this fund was created to provide financial assistance to members of the board gaming community in their time of need. To find out how you can help the fund continue to help others, please visit jackvassell.org/donate. Thank you for your support.
All right, so now we're getting to the part of the episode where we're winding things down and looking ahead and talking about what we've got on our plate coming forward. And Thanksgiving is this week here in the United States.
Yep.
Sarah, you got any big plans for Turkey Day?
Turkey Day is going to be kind of light. It's going to be my parents, Will's parents, and that's it. It's fine. Last year we did have my sister and her clan, as I call it. It's really just her fiance, one of her kids. They seem to switch as to who's in town at the time, but that's fine. But yeah, I'm hosting again. I think this will be our second year hosting Thanksgiving, which is nice. I like being able to, how do I put this, host a non-religious holiday at my house, just because my parents have a different religion than Will's parents. And as we've found out in the past, as much as we might want to try to get them both together for the holidays, it's best to leave December alone and let each side do their thing, because trying to do a neutral holiday family gathering does not work, unfortunately.
So if I recall correctly, your side is Jewish and his side is Christian?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They're both gift-giving holidays, but they have their own special traditions. And, it's completely understandable that
it doesn't mix well.
Yeah, some people are able to mix it fine, and that's great, and other people not so much, and that's fine too.
And so what I love about Thanksgiving is it is just focused on family. It's eating good food, spending time together. You don't have to worry about gifts or religion or politics. Hopefully that stays out.
Everybody needs to count their blessings from time to time.
Exactly.
Regardless of what religion you are.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
So it's going to be at our house. I'll do some, let's see, what do? I do the candied yams, and we're also doing mashed potatoes. Will's parents are doing the turkey. My mom does a wonderful green bean casserole.
Nice.
So that'll be good. Yeah, really good. And then since we don't like to go out on Black Friday because there's crazy people out there.
Really crazy people. Mm-hmm.
We decided to have friends over who also don't like Black Friday. So they're coming over on Friday to play games. I was hoping Fireball Island would arrive on Friday. There was a point where it said it would, but the most recent update said it'll come Saturday.
Oh.
But that means Will and I can sit down on Saturday and learn the rules. I mean, our friends would probably be okay learning the rules with us, but we tend to like to learn them on our own and then teach it to people. It generally works better that way.
Okay.
And then the following weekend is my sister's wedding. I know I haven't really talked about much my family, but for my sister, I am very happy for her. This is her 4th.
Oh, no.
Yes, but I think this is going to be her last. He's a good guy. He's a good. It sometimes takes people a little bit longer. This guy's good. Very happy for her. I mean, honestly, I didn't think they'd get married because I thought they'd just, live together because my sister had already had 3 marriages and weddings. I figured she was done. But she got to the point where she's like, nope, I want the official wedding and I want it done right. And I'm like, okay.
I am Mark's 4th Mrs. Ford.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes.
And we have been together for 20 years and we've been married for 18 years. And I told him one way or another, you're my last husband and I'm your last wife.
Yep.
And one way or another, that's how it's going to be.
Well, sure. Yeah. And for him, he was married before too. He's got kids. My sister's got kids. So they're not new to this whole game. But like I said, I think it's going to be really good. My sister is definitely on the creative side. So it is a sort of steampunk themed wedding. Sort of. In other words, her and her friends are definitely going to dress up. Guests are encouraged to do stuff. I bought at Halloween a little steampunk hat. It's a top hat that has goggles on it.
Nice.
So I'll wear that.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I too am getting together with friends for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
My family has kind of scattered in various different directions, which is fine. That's fine. My brother and sister-in-law in the last few years have invited people from the Air Force Base where my sister works in the National Guard. They've invited people over to their house to give them Thanksgiving when they're assigned away from home.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so that's what they do. My stepsisters go with their side of the family. And then Mark and my parents are down in Arizona, so they get together with their friends. And then Mark and I get together with our friends here and we play games. And that's what's important is getting together with people you enjoy being around and having a good time. My family does come together at Christmas time.
Oh, there you go.
And we do a gift exchange. We kind of do a goofy gift exchange. It's, find a present around $50-ish.
Okay.
That's kind of a goofy thing. And
sounds like fun.
Yeah. And then it's, okay, what present do you want? Do you know what's in it? No? Okay. That's what you get, though.
Okay.
So that's kind of a fun tradition. But so we're going over to my friend Dwayne and Yuriko's house, and their family is coming over, and then they've invited a bunch of friends over. and we're going to play games and eat good food, and everybody's bringing food. So kind of a potluck thing, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I do have to work on Thanksgiving, and I have to work on Black Friday, and I've been told Black Friday is going to be crazy.
Oh, man.
I work for a company that does tech support for Nest products. So like the thermostat, and they have a smoke detector, and they have a lock, and they have, what else? They have a security system. And they're all affordably priced to be really nice Christmas gifts. And so, and they're having, everybody's having sales on things like this. So, they're gadgets, and they're really cool gadgets, and I provide tech support for that. So, I'm told that Black Friday is going to be crazy.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And I'm told it's going to be crazy from Black Friday through mid-January.
Yeah, that makes sense. The before and after Christmas.
Yeah. And, when people start installing these things in their homes and can't get heat in the middle of winter. Yeah. So, and we support the United States and Canada. Ooh. So, yeah. And you get some cold temperatures in those places.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. So, we might try and do something after work on Black Friday. That's fine. I don't know yet. I'm also looking forward to a Kickstarter that I've been told is going to ship out on the 22nd or the 23rd of November.
Okay.
And it's actually 3 games. It's the Tokyo series.
Oh, yeah.
And I interviewed Jordan Draper, the game designer of this series, back in January or December of last year, or January of this year. And I just was so intrigued by his games. I backed them on Kickstarter. I got all 3 of them. One of them is, one of them is about the vending machine culture in Tokyo. One of them is about the Tokyo subway system, which apparently is a little on the crazy side because all these different sections of the subway system are owned by different corporations.
Oh no! Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
And then the third one, and apparently that's true in real life.
Well, yeah, I would imagine it's based on real life.
Yeah. And then the third one is about Tokyo architecture.
Yeah.
Apparently, Tokyo, as far as their buildings are concerned, I don't know about any other part, but apparently Tokyo has a very disposable architecture culture. What? I know, you wouldn't think, huh? But apparently people buy these small lots, and depending on their income, their financial ability, they either throw up these small prefab houses that last 15, 20 years.
Oh my God.
I mean, they're like inexpensive prefab houses. And then, when they start wearing out, they tear them down, they throw up another one.
Dang.
Or if they're really well-to-do, they throw up these ornate, expensive, long-term homes and with, cultural architecture that you would expect in Asia. So apparently apparently they get very creative on buildings because lot sizes are a little crazy.
Yeah.
You can have a long, skinny lot. You can have a wide, wider lot. You can have one that's kind of hexagonal, sort of. And you have to fit your building onto that lot. And so his game is based on this idea of building on these crazy lot sizes and what can you afford to put up. So I am really looking forward to this. In particular, I'm really looking forward to the vending machine one because it's got little vending machines with little tiny soda bottles and other items.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it on Twitter, so I'm very excited to see what you think about it because that just sounds cool.
Yeah. In fact, today I saw that he announced a new Kickstarter for a game called Metal. Apparently this is a new series. He's also doing another Tokyo series game, but this is a new series that's based on different substances, materials. And this first one is based on metal. And I saw a quick screenshot of the components, and they're all Metal.
The box is metal.
The box is metallic as well.
Yeah, the only thing that isn't is the rules, and he's still trying to figure out if there's a way that he can do metal sheets for the rules.
Oh, wow.
But the box is completely metal, all the pieces, and it's solid metal, not just plated or anything or hollow.
Wow.
It's
So it's not like tinfoil over cardboard.
No, nope.
Wow.
The box there's no cardboard in that box. It is a metal box.
Okay. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my Christmas money. Am I buying Dice Hospital or am I looking at metal?
It does look really, really cool. Well,
wow.
Look at the games. Make sure you want to play them. As cool as it is, make sure you like the games in there.
Yeah, definitely. That is important when looking at Kickstarter. It sounds intriguing.
Oh, it does. It really does.
Yeah. But I'm not investing in an intriguing paperweight.
Nope.
There are plenty of those on Kickstarter too, and I am that holds zero interest for me. Anyway, so Sarah, how can people get a hold of you if they want to connect with you online?
I am most often found on Twitter at Eurogamergirl. You can also find me sometimes on BGG. I am Silva Shadow, SilvaShado. And I also post on the Our Turn Facebook page. I post daily about Kickstarter projects that you might want to check out.
Yep. And I am on Twitter as @OurTurnPodcast. I have my own Twitter account, but I just have more fun on doing @OurTurnPodcast.
Yeah.
And then I also am the guild master on our guild on BoardGameGeek.com, and that's guild number 2600. And you can, of course, find links to all of these things, including our Twitter accounts, on our website, which is OurTurnPodcast.com. And if you want to find out about the games we've discussed today, including all of those talked about by Lizzie and Roger, you can go to OurTurnPodcast.com/episode 91. Thanks so much, Sarah. This was fun. This was a good discussion today.
Agreed.
All right. So until next time, and on behalf of the entire Our Turn podcast crew, that was our turn.
Now it's yours.
Thank you for listening. This episode was recorded on November 19th, 2018, and was written and produced by Cathy Ford, Sarah Reed, Lizzie Bell, and Roger Bell West. We want and encourage your questions, comments, and feedback. Please call 916-426-2873 and leave us a short voicemail or send an email to feedback@ourturnpodcast.com. Our theme music was composed by Adriana Crickle. Incidental music was provided by Purple Planet Music. Please check out our show notes to learn more about these talented artists. The material in this episode is copyrighted under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. If you want to learn more about the games discussed in this episode, please visit our website at OurTurnPodcast.com/episode 91. You can find a list of games along with links to their listing on BoardGameGeek.com. We are proud members of the Dice Tower Network. You can find out about other shows in the network like Flip Flory, Super Saturday Board Game Serial, the Board Game Design Lab, and Every Night is Game Night by going to DicetowerNetwork.com. Thank you for your support. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us.